the greatest producer of energy in the body?
The heart.
Who says the heart? Who says the brain? Who says I don't know? It's actually the heart. The heart produces more energy than the brain. Actually 60 times more than the brain. Okay? The heartbeat is felt everywhere in the body. Every single cell in your body receives a signal from your heart. So the quality of that heartbeat is very important because you're communicating messages throughout the body. Okay? Now, the quality of the heartbeat is influenced by what we think, by our thoughts and our emotions. So if we are in a happy, calm state, okay, the quality of that signal that is conveyed throughout the entire body is a more cohesive, calm, integrated signal. If we are in a stress state, a state of fight or flight, we're angry, we're upset, we're nervous, okay, the quality of that signal is very, very different. Let me read you some things here. Communication between the brain and the heart flows through two pathways. Okay? The sympathetic and parasympathetic subsystems of the autonomic nervous system. So the autonomic nervous system has two branches. The parasympathetic branch slows down the heartbeat, increases motility, and creates a restful, peaceful state. It's good for us, it's healthy. That's the one we are after. The sympathetic system reacts to stress, to negative emotions such as fear, anger, and frustration. It causes the fight or flight response, and although we need to have that response, fight or flight can save our lives. We don't need to be in fight or flight 24/7. So that's very important for us to understand. Okay? There are many studies that show that people that live under a constant state of stress have more health problems. Okay? And we want to understand that we can change that. We can change that state by the communication that the heart sends to the rest of the organs in the body. Okay? And the process happens through entrainment. Entrainment. You may have heard of pendulums that swing. If you have, let's say, 10 grandfather clocks in a room, and initially the pendulum may be swinging at different rates from each other, but after a while, they'll synchronize their swing and they'll swing together. Okay? That's the power of entrainment. Christian Huygens, a scientist, was the first to discover this, and it happened, I'm trying to tell you which century it happened. 1665, Dutch scientist Christian Huygens was the first person that discovered the power of resonance. You've probably heard of women that go to college together, room together, and after a while their periods synchronize and they have their periods together. Okay, again, it's resonance. And it happens in all areas of life. So it happens in physics, it happens in biology, it happens in astronomy, it happens in all of the sciences, in psychology, and it's usually the organism with the strongest energy that the others are attracted to and the ones that cause the resonance to happen. So because our hearts produce the greatest amount of energy in our body, if we can calm our heart, if we can come into a state of peace and calm and joy in our heart, that information is conveyed throughout the entire body through the power of resonance. And this leads me to advanced linking awareness, because advanced linking awareness is about bringing the body into that perfect resonance, into that perfect state where healing can happen. Okay, so let's go on, and we have several steps. The first step is to check for polarity organization. And you already are familiar with polarity organization. What it says is that our polarity, the main polarity or flow of energy in our energy system, should move from the head down to the feet. So it's a north-south orientation. If the energy is flowing in any other direction, could be flowing backwards, it could be disorganized, really not flowing any which way in particular, then we need to address that state and correct the polarity. That's number one. Whether we're doing any Reiki sessions or we're working with someone who's about to receive a Reiki session, we need to address polarity. So let's go ahead, and Charlotte is going to be my model for this demo. Thank you, Charlotte. And there are a couple of ways that we're going to be checking for polarity. I want to use both ways in these exercises so that you're comfortable with them. And the first way that we're going to practice is by muscle testing. So in a minute, I'm going to have you pair up with a partner and do this as well. So I'm going to ask Charlotte, and I know you had some neck problem. Is this going to be okay on your neck? Yeah. Okay. So I'm asking permission to work. Okay, so you always want to ask permission first. And then if she or he is able to use that arm for testing, you're always going to be supporting that shoulder. Never leave that shoulder loose like that, because that can be a problem. So you want to support the shoulder. I'm going to get behind Charlotte so you can see. I'm supporting the shoulder. Her hand is open, so we want hand open. And I want to make sure that I test over a long bone, never over a joint. You can damage a joint by pushing down on a joint as you test. So you never do that. Test always over the long shaft of a bone. And we're not arm wrestling. We are just giving a little resistance here to see how much give there is in that muscle. Okay? So, and what I want to say to Charlotte is just hold. Because if I say resist, then that implies that we're struggling, right? We don't want to do that. Just hold for me, Charlotte. Okay, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Just a very gentle, and there she looks. So we're not doing this. You know, we're not forcing the arm up and down. I'm also not pumping. Just a very, very light movement down until the muscle locks. And I want to pay attention to how much give there is. Ready? 1, 2, 3, hold. And that's where it locks, okay? So I want to do just as much right now. And let's practice testing each other and getting that muscle to lock, okay? Let's stop the camera. Okay, thanks. Okay. So the idea is this: whenever we make a true statement or we place something in our energy field that is positive, that helps us, such as maybe a food, a supplement, a crystal, essential oil, the body recognizes it as such, and the muscle strength is stronger. If we place something in our field that draws away our energy, maybe the wrong crystal or the wrong food or the wrong supplement, then the muscle will be weak. Or it could be a false statement. There's something funny about the mind. Whenever we say a truth, the muscles respond and the test is strong. But when we make a false statement, the mind knows it as such, and the energy drops. So let's go ahead and I'm going to use a true and a false statement to determine your strength, okay? How your muscle locks. And I'd like you to state your name.
My name is Charlotte.
1, 2, 3, hold. Okay, and now a false statement.
My name is Sue.
1, 2, 3, hold. And she's a little weaker. And that's all I want. I don't want her, she doesn't necessarily have to collapse her arm. See if you can distinguish between a true statement and a false statement. Okay? So let's do that next. Okay. Testing for. Okay. And can you check if our heads are cut off?
No.
They're okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, what happened with this test?
Yeah,
Were you able to get a strong and a weak?
Yes.
Strong, true, weak, false? Anybody that got the opposite? No?
I started with the opposite first, and it worked out well. I said I was Doreen, and it went straight down, and then I said it was Ed, and it was, instead of going the other way, I
Okay,
reversed
good.
it.
It happened
Still works.
when she said she likes drink and tourists, but it went down. And
Okay.
wondered, maybe she feels a little
What
bit.
happened? Yes. Okay. What happens very often is that if our polarity is reversed, we will get the reverse response. So now we're going to test for polarity. And the easiest way to test for polarity is to have the person place his or her hand above the crown chakra. Yep. Go ahead,
Does it
Charlotte.
matter what?
I'm not moving.
Oh, no, go ahead.
You do it.
You do it like this. I'm like, just do it like this. And then as she positions the hand over the crown, I'm going to go ahead and do the test. Now, it's a two-part test, okay? So 1, 2, 3, hold. Okay, she's a little bit weak here, but let's see what happens. Turn your hand over. Ready? 1, 2, 3, hold. Okay. So let me explain what happens. Is my polarity reversed? Yeah. That's what I thought.
Didn't you
But
drive
that's
back
good
this
because we can demonstrate and correct it, right?
There you go.
Okay. Now, polarity, this is a review from Reiki 2 Advanced, okay? Polarity, the polarity test is a two-part test. So part 1 is palm over crown. So palm facing the crown, and the test should be strong. So the results should be a strong muscle, okay, when you test. Part 2 is palm away from crown. And the results should be weak. So the arm should go down. There should be more give. If you're getting the opposite, in other words, if you're getting with the palm over the crown, you're getting a weak, and the palm away from the crown, you're getting a strong, then the polarity is reversed. So polarity, organized, is palm over crown. Let me put it in here, strong. Palm away, weak. If you're getting this, palm over the crown is strong, palm away is weak, the polarity is organized. If you're getting and palm away, strong. So you're getting the opposite, then the polarity is reversed. And if you're getting either nothing or the same, same strength, either way, then the polarity is disorganized. So three things can happen. You can have polarity, the polarity organized, palm over the crown strong, palm away weak. That's what you want. If you're getting palm over the crown weak and palm away strong, then you know that polarity is reversed, meaning that she's flowing from foot to head instead of from head to foot. And if you're getting either nothing happens, or it's the same, okay, then the polarity is disorganized, which really means that the polarity is just not moving, the energy is not moving. Okay, so let's correct it, okay?
Right.
And to correct it, there are a couple of ways that we're going to correct it. And you learned this in advance too. How many people know what we're going to do? Yay! So this is called Cook's crossovers. And let's do it together. So one ankle over the other. Doesn't matter which one. And then take the opposite wrist to that ankle that is on top and cross it over the other wrist. Bring the hands together, interlace the fingers back toward your chest, and press the tip of your tongue against the back of your top front teeth. Hold, like this. And this causes all your meridians to start flowing. And that's why we're stressing the meridian tracing, because if you're tracing your meridians, your polarity will tend to stay organized. You're going to feel better. You'll be healthier. Your immune system, everything works better. And then after a few minutes, uncross yourself. Bring your fingertips into a steeple, like this. Drop your tongue to the floor of your mouth. And this will ground you. Now another thing that you can do, and let me show you right now, is cover your belly button with one hand. Either hand is fine. And with your free hand, you're going to rub some points. Okay? So these are the K27 points, master points for the mind, the last points in the kidney meridian, K27. Okay. Then you're going to come to the center of the chin, rub. This is RMP-24, the end of the conception vessel, which you use in the zip up. And then you're going to come over your upper lip, between the upper lip and the nose, and rub. And this is do 27. You are at the end of the governing vessel. And then you're going to come to your tailbone and just rub your tailbone. Okay? All right. So this is another way that you can do it. So are you ready to be tested?
Yeah. Okay. All right, let's see if we fix my polarity.
Okay. So with your hand over your crown, 1, 2, 3, hold, okay, and now reverse it, 1, 2, 3, hold, and not quite, okay, we need to do a little bit more. All right, so let's go ahead and have you guys pair up again, and let's test for polarity.
Stop, go.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, hold. Okay, and ready? 1, 2, 3, hold. And just, yeah, we're still, it's just a little bit more, but you're just about there. Okay, excellent, yes.
Should we check all of our clients' polarity before we give them the treatment?
Yes, but you're going to do it from the table. So I'm going to, I want to go through this together as a group, and then later this afternoon we're going to break out some tables, and I'll show you how you actually will do it with clients. Okay? Okay, I want to go to the next one, which is permission. And permission is a very important step. Just because a client is there and is giving you conscious permission to work on them, that doesn't mean that you have permission from the mind-body. You should get permission on the, to work on the physical level, on the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual. They're important. Don't assume that you have permission to work at all levels. Now, the best way to ask permission is after you check for polarity. If the polarity is organized, ask for one permission at a time. And it's not that, if you get a no, to, let's say no to work at the emotional level, it's not that you'll never work with that person at the emotional level. It's just that for that one session, that's not as important. You should be concentrating on the ones that you receive permission. And treat one session at a time. That doesn't mean that for the rest of their lives you can't do a mental emotional treatment. It just means that for that one session the body needs something different. So I want to ask for permission, and I'm going to say it out loud, but I'll show you how I do it when we set up tables. I do it a little differently. But when we practice this right now, we are going to ask for permission out loud. So do I have your permission to work on the physical level?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, hold, and it's nice and strong, okay? If I got a weak, that's okay. It's just that I wouldn't have permission to work on the physical level. I would have to work at a different level with you. Next one. Do I have permission to work on the emotional level?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, hold. Okay, good. Do I have permission to work at the mental level?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, hold. Good. Do I have permission to work at the spiritual level?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, hold. Very strong. So I got all my permissions. I can work with Charlotte. You could be working with someone and they may only give you permission to work at a couple of levels, and they go to another person and voila, they have permission to work at all levels. Nothing personal. It's just that your energies don't match, at least for that one session. They're not a good match. Okay? Nothing to worry about.
Do you have to do this every time you do?
Yes, but I'm going to show you how you're going to do it, because you're not going to be asking your client, you're not going to be doing this with your client. We're going to do it as an exercise in class, but you are going to do everything silently, and it's very, very quick. But it's going to show you exactly where you need to work and how you want to work. Yes, Alex?
Does it ever happen that you don't get permission on any of the levels?
Yes. And when that happens, I have to use all of my diplomacy and say to the client, I'm getting a feeling that this may not be a good session for you, that this may not be a good time to do a session. What are your thoughts? And if that ever happens, then we'll talk about it.
Now, is the client aware? The client may not be aware that they don't, it's not a good time,
Right.
correct?
Correct. They're not.
It may not be a mental
Conscious.
It's not personal.
Conscious, thank you. It might not be a
Sorry.
conscious thought.
It's not a conscious thought because we're talking to the body. That's why we're muscle testing. And the two precautions that we took before even asking for permission is to make sure that we understand what a baseline is for the client. So if we don't know what their true or false is as we muscle test, we can't do this test. And number two, we made sure that the polarity was organized. If the polarity is not organized, you're not going to get accurate answers. So now I'd like to go ahead and go through the permission. Yes.
I'm wondering,
Yeah.
Lourdes, if you don't get permission in, say, the physical or mental, or whatever it may be, how do you specifically work on just the emotional and spiritual?
Okay, what I would do is I would concentrate more on the mental treatment. If I'm doing an absent treatment, it's very, very easy because I can call in any of the layers. And I'll teach you how to do that in lesson 5, calling in specific layers. But if I get a no to the physical, I'm going to most likely work off the body. I had a situation, I don't know if I told you guys, of a baby, newborn, who had ingested his own feces. There's a, what's the name? Meconium. And he was in the ER, excuse me, in intensive care, very, very ill. And his aunt called me to give him an absent treatment. And when I called him in, I asked permission. Even from a newborn, you still need to ask permission. And I got a big no to work on the physical body. So I worked on the other levels. And a while later, the aunt called me back and said, how did the treatment go? And I said, funny, it went fine, but I didn't get permission to work on his physical body. And she said, well, no wonder. Anytime that anybody touches him, he's in excruciating pain. He cries. He won't let anybody touch him. So he wouldn't let me touch him. So you want to listen to what you get. And if you get a no to work on any of the levels, respect that. Don't work on it. Okay? Work off the body. So if you're doing a hands-on session and you got a no for the physical body, we have the physical body, and then we have the first layer of the aura, which is the etheric double, about 1.5 to 2 inches above the physical body. Then we have the emotional layer, which is about 12 inches above the etheric double. And then we have the mental, spiritual layers up here. So work higher if they are going to be there with you. Don't work directly on the physical body. So what I would like to do now is have you pair up again and ask for permission. So do I have your permission to work on the physical test? Do I have your permission to work on the emotional and test, the mental and test, and the spiritual and test? And although the partner is going to say yes consciously, you're going to listen to what their body responds, to the body response, okay? Let's stop the camera and...
Done? Sorry.
Yeah.
Question from Yukiko.
Yes, Yukiko?
So if the spiritual level, the quality is weak, how to treat the session? Because the physical level is pattern first and third, and emotional and mental is a second pattern 2.
Okay.
Second pattern, and then spiritual levels, how to treat.
Then you're going to, when you do the mental treatment, you're going to focus on the spiritual side, okay? So what they're saying is if you only got permission, received permission for spiritual. Okay, let me explain something. Let's talk about the layers of the aura for a minute. And the first layer of the aura is called the etheric double. And that layer is closest to the physical body is about anywhere between 1/2 inch to 2 inches wide. It's a clear layer, and all the information regarding the physical body is held there. That's part of the physical body. The second layer of the aura is called the emotional or astral layer, and that layer is right next to the etheric double, and it can be as wide as a foot, sometimes more. It's the layer that contains the colors, and it's a higher octave from the etheric double, so it contains all the information about the physical body plus the emotions are held there. The next layer is called the mental layer, and that layer is just beyond the emotional layer. It's also about a foot, but it can expand, so it can be wider. And that layer is usually yellow, and you can see it. I mean, you guys that are sitting over here, if you keep your eyes soft and gaze gently, not directly at your person's head on this side, but off to the side, use your peripheral vision and have lazy eyes, sleepy eyes. And they're thinking, like right now, you can really see the mental layer active, and that's a sign that the person is thinking, Kelly, your mental layer is very active. It's like a chicken yellow, very transparent, okay? Baby chick yellow, and that's the way they are, okay?
Yeah, I can see that, yeah.
Liz, you too, okay? And Gina, you too, so I'm looking at those layers. So what I'm saying is that if you have a no to work on the physical body, but a yes to work on the emotional, work at the emotional level. So give the treatment at the emotional level, in the emotional layer, and then when you come to the second pattern, give them mental emotional treatment. That's fine. If you have a yes to working on the emotional layer, but a no to everything else, then work on the emotional layer. If you only have a yes to the spiritual layer, then use the mental layer as well, because that layer will respond to the spiritual side of any condition. And then in the mental treatment, center your treatment around this spiritual issues that may be relevant to your client. Does that make sense to everybody? No? Confusing?
Spiritual.
Yes, no?
So even when you're doing the second pattern, if you have a no to the physical, you do the second pattern above.
Do it above.
Okay.
It's easier when you do the treatment absentee, because in an absent treatment, you can actually call in a specific layer. By default, when you give an absent treatment, you are calling in the mental layer. Okay? But if you got a no, no to the physical layer, no to the mental, no to the spiritual, and a very strong yes to the emotional, you can call in the emotional layer. I'm going to teach you that in lesson 5. And what that means is that your connection to emotional issues will be much, much closer. But we're getting ahead of ourselves, okay? So right now, if you get a no to the physical layer, or you got a yes to the physical layer, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's how you're gonna work right now. But you know, after lunch, after we break for lunch, you may get a yes to everything. Right now, it's what the body's indicating that it needs Reiki more at the physical level. But give it a couple of hours and it may be much different, okay?
Okay.
Is there
So it does change. It changes.
All the time, all the time. Right now, if you were to work on me, you're probably gonna get more on the physical because I'm hungry. And you guys are probably hungry too, so you're gonna get more at the physical right now.
Is there a spiritual layer after the mental layer?
Yes, there's 7 layers to the aura.
Oh, okay, so you could actually work directly on the
You
spiritual
could,
plane.
but those have to be worked on really absentee,
Okay.
because you're calling in very high energies.
So you can't do it hands-on, that's why hands-on you work on
Yeah, you
spiritual
work
in the mental.
in the
plane.
mental layer. Okay, now, we can break at this point for lunch if you are ready. Or we can do one more and then break for lunch. What would you like to do?
One more.
Are you ready for one more?
Yeah.
Okay. Charlie? Okay.
You need me. I'm like, sure. Getting up would be helpful.
Okay, Charlie, I want you to look at these 2 lines. Look at these 2 vertical lines. And as you're looking at them, I'm gonna test you. Well, wait a minute, let's turn you so that you're looking at the lines. And we're using this
This
arm.
arm.
Okay? Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, hold. Okay. Would you say that's strong or weak?
I'd say it was pretty strong.
Okay. All right.
That's nice, the spot.
Okay, ready? Let me know when you're ready. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and hold.
Oh, that was way weaker.
Okay. All right. Okay, sit down and let me explain. So what we're looking now is the connection between the hemispheres of the brain, okay, and the crossing of energy in your body. When you're in the womb, when we're in the womb before birth, the brain sends information to the body ipsilaterally, so one side of the body at a time. So we may be moving our left hand and leg at the same time, okay? So the movements are one side of the body at a time. As the baby starts to move around, the baby is born, starts to move around, and learns to crawl, then it learns the contralateral, the cross-pattern. And that's what part of crawling is for, is to integrate these movements of the body so that the brain is able to send messages to opposite sides of the body at the same time. And that creates the integration of the 2 hemispheres of the brain. Okay? Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
So when we are in a state of stress, we're tired, we're not feeling well, then our hemispheres are not crossing the information from one side to the other as much or as readily as they should. So the movements and the pattern is ipsilateral, one side of the body. What we want is that cross parenting to take place. And that's why when I created the 2 vertical lines, if you responded stronger to the 2 vertical lines, it means that you're in ipsilateral pattern. So the hemispheres of the brain are not communicating properly. And we're going to change that pattern.
I never crawled.
Well, that makes sense.
I never crawled. As
Okay.
in, I walked. I had no hip. I was born without a hip joint, so they put me in a brace, so I never crawled. I walked.
Wow.
Okay? So this is what we're going to do. Let's go ahead and test you and see what you're testing strong for.